And now let's dive into our featured story of the day and discuss this God candle incoming, which is a $100,000 single uptick on the daily candle chart. Max Keiser recently tweeted the following. You should be able to see on your screen. God candle incoming. We are witnessing the start of a $100,000 Bitcoin God candle. And you can see what's his name here, Bukele, doing his thing. Shout out to the beautiful people of El Salvador. And then Corey Clipston chimed in. Okay, let's get clear on the official definitions of demigod candle, God candle, and the mega candle. It was written. The demigod candle is 10% plus in 24 hours, which is what we just experienced. We had 11% surge in the Bitcoin price action, rising over $6,000. The God candle would be $10,000 plus in a 24-hour period. So we already got close to the God candle, but not quite. Fell a little short. And then we have the Omega candle, which is a $100,000 price surge in the daily chart within a 24-hour time frame. Then we have the Buddha candle. We have the Jehovah candle. We have the Yahweh candle. We have the Elohim candle. We have the Moses candle, right? We got the Buddha candle, the Muhammad candle. What other candles are we missing? Let me know. But as you can see in the headline here, current Bitcoin surge can bring on a $100,000 God candle, according to Max Keiser. And he also shared these recent tweets. Update, now worth $57 million. But he lost them. Max Keiser gave Russell Brand 1,000 Bitcoin after this interview back in 2014. That was worth 26 million at that time, but now worth 57 freaking million. Now Max has got to be one of the most generous Bitcoin maxis in human history because he goes around gifting people Bitcoin. In fact, Max gave 10,000 Bitcoin to Alex Jones in 2009, but Alex says he refused it. At least that's what he claims. Now, the current value of those 10,000 Bitcoin is now $570 million. Let that sink in. And as if that's not enough giving, check this out. I put on an old jacket that I haven't worn for more than a decade. I found a slip of paper with a private key and 5 Bitcoin. I used to carry these around and give them to the people all the time. I wonder what happened to all those Bitcoin. A little update now. Now we're at 285,000. Thank you, Santa Claus. So who else you know out there just gifting people? Here's 10,000 Bitcoin, Alex Jones. Here's 1,000 Bitcoin, Alex Brand. You're a great guy. Oh, here's 5 Bitcoin. I just want to give you. Max isn't a league of its own. Love Max. Long live the high priest and his beautiful twin flame, Stacey Herbert. I highly miss the Keiser Report, which was the best financial educational show I have ever seen in my life. Now, let's break this down. So as Bitcoin skyrocketed over 11% in the last 24 hours, topping 57,000, the new high, roughly 57.7 over on Coinbase, Bitcoin proponent and early adopter, Bitcoin OG, Max Keiser, tweeted, this could be the start of the God candle that will propel Bitcoin to $100,000 per coin. Send it. So yeah, over the last 24 hours, Bitcoin soared from 51,000 to 57,000. Bitcoin did not stop there, though, went down a little and is currently exchanging at roughly 57,000 at the time of this live stream. Now, God candle incoming, as he warned us, we've been discussing the Bitcoin God candles here on the channel for a while. Many different scenarios could make that play out. We have a sovereign wealth fund in Qatar sitting on roughly $500 billion. According to Max, they're looking to convert that entire thing into Bitcoin. That would obviously usher in a God candle. Also, we have the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia looking to get into digital assets. They recently partnered with the largest bank in Japan, SBI Holdings. This could also trigger a God candle. Other nation state adoption of a bigger country like El Salvador adopting Bitcoin as a legal tender, potentially Colombia, which has a population of 40 million. This can spark a God candle. What if a country like Brazil, which has one of the largest populations in South America, were to adopt Bitcoin as a legal tender? Just helping you understand how simple it can be, a 100K God candle, when you start to realize the limited scarcity and supply of Bitcoin with the massive demand we're witnessing right now from the ETFs. So this is the closest Bitcoin has come to the first historic peak reached in 2021, when Bitcoin surged to $61,200 in March, and in November went up to almost 69,000, registering the current all-time high, and I believe that was on November 10th, family. At the moment, Bitcoin trading at 18.25% below the historic peak. Its market cap value has also propelled back above 1.1 trillion, which is another milestone. Now, MicroStrategy initiates another Bitcoin purchase. As I pointed out earlier, Santiment on-chain data vendor published a report about the aforementioned sudden Bitcoin increase. The report states that once Bitcoin soared past 55,000, it already reached a 27-month high. That's right, that's 2 years and 5 months, family. A similar price wasn't last seen until December 3rd of 2021. And with assistance from MicroStrategy's latest purchase of the additional 3,000 Bitcoin, which means they now hold 193,000 BTC on their balance sheet, the market value of Bitcoin jumped as high as now today, 57,700, equaling its highest price appreciation since December 3rd, 2021. Notably, this happened on the day that the S&P declined. So I also must point out that Bitcoin is on its own vector. It's decoupled from the stock market. So even if, hypothetically speaking, there was a massive stock crash like many are anticipating, that doesn't mean that Bitcoin is going to crash alongside it. In fact, Bitcoin can do the polar opposite. Just like we witnessed, if you think about this out loud, during the regional banking crisis of last year, everyone's like, the markets are doomed. Everyone's losing faith in the banks. There could be a bank run. There's not enough money. It's fractional reserve Ponzi scheme. But lo and behold, Bitcoin started ripping. That's what actually catapulted the Bitcoin price action to continue climbing when the banks were basically being destroyed ultimately. And, and that could continue to happen because we still have a regional banking crisis. But what if the stocks were to crash as well? The only alternative asset class that's going to continue to go up and be respected as a store of value besides gold is going to be Bitcoin. But Bitcoin, we know, is a superior store of value because it actually has a finite limited supply. And we cannot say the same thing about gold. Hence why gold is always manipulated. So the Sentiment team is positive about the aforementioned 10% Bitcoin price surge. And again, I'm going to be speaking with Sentiment tomorrow, FYI. The company purchased 3,000 Bitcoin, paying roughly $155 million for that crypto lump. The purchase was conducted at the price just shy of $55,000. The report points out, by a curious coincidence, the leading index of the U.S. equities market, the S&P 500, showed a decline of 0.5%. This may be a sign that crypto is getting away from its reliance on the equities market. Also, like to point out that MicroStrategy is soon going to become an S&P 500 company because they're almost qualified to do so at the rate they're rising. They now have, and this was a couple of days ago before the $6,000 price pump, they already collectively have roughly 1% of the Bitcoin supply. They're not planning on stopping anytime soon. And what do I mean by that? Their actual goal is to acquire 1 million Bitcoin, which would give them 5% of the current circulating supply. Now, do you think they will achieve that? Let me know your thoughts. So you got MicroStrategy is accumulating Bitcoin like madmen. You got Michael Saylor, his personal stash. He said he's accumulating Bitcoin every day for the next 120 days. He made that announcement about a month ago. I covered it on the show. Who knows what his personal stash is? We have the likes of BlackRock and the top ETF asset managers in the United States, which now collectively have over 300,000 Bitcoin. We have Satoshi, who single-handedly has 1.1 million Bitcoin. According to Alex Jones, Max Keiser has as much Bitcoin as Satoshi, so he could potentially have 1 million Bitcoin all by himself. You got Coinbase already self-custodying over 1 million Bitcoin. You got a supply shock on the exchanges, most definitely incoming, as this the least amount of Bitcoin available supply in the past 9 years. You also have a demand shock we're likely to witness this year. And not only do we have the institutional FOMO, but we also have the retail, and we have the Bitcoin halving occurring in roughly 50-something days. So all of these bullish catalysts, then you have the presidential election in the United States occurring later this year as well, all around the same time, the same year. So many analysts are very bullish, as they should be. This is unprecedented. Previous cycle, when we hit that 69,000 peak back on November 10th of 2021, zero institutional adoption. Zero institutional FOMO. No ETFs were being talked about being approved, at least spot-wise. The ones that did get approved in 2021 were futures. Why would Gary Gensler and the SEC allow futures ETFs but deny spot? Market manipulation. Nothing to do with protecting the investor's best interests. We all know that is BS. But nonetheless, now we finally have the ETF. What forced the SEC's hand and made Gary approve it? Guess what? It was the lawsuit against Grayscale. That's right. They lost the lawsuit, the SEC. And so that make them look bad, approving all of these futures ETFs, but just denying all the spot ETFs. So now we finally got the spot ETF. Yet the regulators, including the chairman of the SEC that approved the Bitcoin ETF, he's still FUDing Bitcoin. Why is that? I want you to think about that. Why did the ECB, the European Central Bank, just publish a hit piece on Bitcoin, talking about its intrinsic value is zero, it's a Ponzi scheme, it's bad for the environment, and telling you every FUD under the sun? Why? It's a direct threat. Bitcoin separates money from the state, and as Max Keiser says, Bitcoin kills the state. So of course they're going to fear it. They can't stop it. At this point, all they can do is continue to FUD it and control the on-ramps and off-ramps, which is exactly what they do with their unlawful regulation by enforcement. What are your thoughts, family? When do you feel we're likely to see this God candle? And can you envision $100,000 coming through the pipeline on the daily Bitcoin chart in a single uptick, taking us to 150,000 above and beyond? Holla at your boy.